Liam Carter was only 20 years old, but life had already carved its hardships into him. His once youthful face carried the quiet strength of someone who had worked the land with his bare hands and known more loneliness than laughter. His parents had died years ago, leaving him the ranch. He had learned early that survival in the West demanded grit and silence, and for years he had given the world exactly that. But silence often leaves a man hollow. Liam spent his nights staring at the stars, wishing for something, though he could not have said what. That something arrived one evening when he discovered a girl on the outskirts of his land. She was barely alive, lying beneath a twisted mesquite tree, her dark hair tangled with dust and her lips cracked from thirst. Around her neck hung a cruel wooden sign carved with bitter words, unforgivable. Her name was Ayanna, and she was only 18. Liam's first instinct had been caution. In those lands, tensions between settlers and native tribes often ended in blood. Taking her in meant risk, perhaps even death. But when he saw her stir faintly, her eyes glazed with fear and exhaustion, he felt something stir within him too. He could not walk away. He lifted her gently, carried her across the desert stretch, and laid her in his small home. For 3 nights, she hovered between life and death. Liam fed her spoonfuls of broth, wiped the sweat from her brow, and whispered words he wasn't sure she understood. Slowly she opened her eyes again, and for the first time he saw the fire within them. At first, Ayanna trusted no one. Betrayal had cut deep into her heart. She had been left for dead by those she once called her own, punished for reasons she would not yet reveal. But Liam's kindness was steady, patient, and wordless. He gave her food before he ate, water before he drank, and warmth when the desert nights turned cruel. And slowly, her fear gave way to something else. Ayanna began to laugh again, shy at first, but growing brighter as days passed. She followed Liam around the ranch, helping where she could. He taught her to mend fences, ride horses, and read simple words by lantern light. In return, she taught him songs of her people, haunting melodies that floated on the wind like prayers. The bond between them grew quietly, tenderly. Though they never spoke of it, both felt it pulsing beneath every glance, every shared smile, every brush of hands that lingered just a little too long. For Liam, it was as if the emptiness of the ranch had finally been filled. For Ayanna, it was as if the betrayal that had nearly killed her was slowly being healed. On some nights, Liam caught himself watching her from across the firelight, her eyes glowing in the orange flame, her lips moving gently as she hummed. He would think, "She is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen," though he never dared to speak it. And Ayanna, though she said little, found herself looking at him the same way. A boy who had every reason to harden his heart, yet chose to offer kindness instead. But the desert did not forgive easily. Whispers began among the neighbors. Men at the saloon spat words like fool and traitor when Liam walked by. Women shook their heads, muttering that no good could come from loving someone not their own. On the other side, Ayanna's people too watched with suspicion. Some whispered she had abandoned them. Others claimed she had betrayed their pride. And one among them, a kinsman jealous of her spirit, swore he would see Liam and Ayanna torn apart. The betrayal struck like lightning. One night, as the desert winds howled, Liam returned from town to see smoke curling into the ski. His ranch was aflame. Horses scattered in panic, fences collapsed into ash, and the home he had built with his hands was consumed by fire. And Ayanna was gone. Liam's heart thundered. He searched desperately, calling her name into the darkness, but only silence answered. Then he saw it, footprints leading away from the flames. Rage boiled within him, but beneath it was fear. Fear that he had lost the one soul who had made his world alive again. He followed the trail for hours until the moon was high and cold. And then he found her, bound by ropes, her eyes wide with sorrow. Her kinsman stood over her, hatred burning in his eyes. "You don't belong to him," the man spat. "He is not your world. He never will be." But Ayanna's gaze turned to Liam and her voice trembled with defiance. "He is my world. He is my kindness when all I knew was betrayal." The man sneered, raising his blade. But before he could strike, Liam stepped forward, unarmed. He dropped his rifle in the dust, lifted his hands, and spoke with a voice that shook the desert. "Take me instead," he said. "Her life is worth more than mine. If blood must be spilled, let it be mine." The desert fell silent. Even the wind seemed to still. Ayanna's kinsman hesitated, his fury warring with something deeper. For the first time he saw not an enemy, not a settler to be hated, but a man who loved so fiercely he would give his life without hesitation. His grip faltered, and in that moment Ayanna broke free, rushing into Liam's arms. Together they faced the man, not with vengeance but with truth. Hate destroys, Liam said quietly. Kindness saves. Perhaps it was the fire in his words, or perhaps it was the love shining in Ayanna's eyes. But the man lowered his weapon. Without another word, he vanished into the desert, leaving the two of them trembling but alive. They returned to the ranch, though little remained but ashes. Neighbors whispered still, some with contempt, others with reluctant awe. But Liam and Ayanna no longer cared. They had chosen each other, and that choice was stronger than any hatred the world could throw at them. Together, they rebuilt. Day by day, they hammered wood, repaired fences, and planted seeds in the soil. Ayanna's laughter returned, ringing like bells across the land, and Liam's quiet strength guided them through the hardest days. On autumn evenings, when the air was cool and the sky glowed with fire, they would sit side by side. Liam carved her a wooden pendant shaped like a dove, pressing it into her hands. "This is us," he said softly, "born from pain, but meant to fly." Tears glistened in her eyes as she wore it around her neck. "You don't just give me love," she whispered. "You give me wings." And in that moment, they both understood. Betrayal had not destroyed them. It had forged them. Though Liam was only 20 and Ayanna only 18, their love carried the weight of lifetimes. They had faced death, cruelty, and fire, yet they had chosen kindness, forgiveness, and hope. The desert would always be harsh, but within its dust and silence, two hearts had found a reason to beat as one. In the years that followed, their story spread quietly across the frontier. Some told it as a tale of foolishness, others as a legend of courage. But to those who listened with open hearts, it was proof that love could rise even in the harshest soil, that betrayal could break you, but kindness could build you back stronger. And under the endless stars, Liam and Ayanna dreamed not of riches or glory, but of a simple truth, that two young souls, scarred but still believing, could teach the world what it meant to love without fear.